but mine is, am I the asshole for not wanting my husband to play D&D on Mother's Day? So,
No.
35 female, and my husband, 34 male, have been married for 4 years and together for 6. We have 2 children, twins, together, and 1 on the way. I'm 7.5 months pregnant. I am a stay-at-home mom because with my health issues and because daycare for 2 kids, let alone 3, is expensive. He works 7 to 6 Monday through Friday, and then goes to play D&D for about 4 to 6 hours, once, sometimes twice a week. This week, I guess, is a twice a week one. I asked him if he can skip D&D for Mother's Day and spend time with us as a family. Maybe go to dinner and maybe let me take a bubble bath. He said no, because his friends need him to DM. I got upset and pointed out I am at home with the kids every day, and I don't really get to leave the house on my own, except for doctor's appointments because we only have 1 car. I barely get to have time to myself because he plays with the kids. Because I barely get time to have time to myself because he plays with the kids when he gets home, but I still do all the work. He said it was a stupid, made-up day and he doesn't get what the big deal is. I said fine, but don't expect anything for Father's Day. Then he got really mad and said that I was being unreasonable because without him, we wouldn't have kids, and he's the breadwinner of the house, and I just sit at home doing nothing. I said that's not fair. The past few days, my HG has been really bad, and I've been too fatigued to clean as much. He could help a little if it wasn't that big of a problem. He told me he's planning to go to the game, and then went and stayed at his friend's house for the night. And I was just left standing there crying. So there's an update after this, but I want your guys' thoughts on that.
Okay.
He's obviously the asshole.
So he works full-time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and he has D&D twice a week, but he doesn't...
Once to twice a week.
Okay. Yeah, he's the fucking asshole. Are you serious?
Yeah, dude.
Your wife is taking care of...
twice a week.
And the fact that she's 7.5 months pregnant.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
And she does all the
whole
stay-at-home
Mother's
stuff,
Day's
and she's
a made-up day, like...
Well,
yeah, it
and
was
Mother's
a
Day
made-up
is
day.
Father's
Day?
Mother's Day is a set day. You can adjust the schedule like, hey guys, I can't play this day. Can we move it because that's Mother's Day and I'm going to spend it with my wife and my kids?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Move the fucking day.
Move the fucking day. What the hell
Ridiculous.
is
The day that you play D&D, or play just once that week.
Yeah.
Yep.
Does it have to be twice? Like,
That's the
Damn,
kicker, too.
what
It's
the fuck?
twice in the same week of Mother's Day, and it's 4 to 6 hours. Twice.
Each session.
Each session.
And he has kids. And I can understand, like, D&D takes a while. Like, if you're playing once a week, the fact that you can play once a week, props to your fucking,
Honestly,
your scheduling.
Twice
But, like,
a week? Oh my god, dude.
it's 12 hours of fucking D&D. And she's 7.5 months pregnant.
with 2 kids already, like, in the household.
Oh my god, what's the
She's
update?
taken care of.
Stay at his friend's house that night. He didn't
That
even go
too.
home on Mother's Day.
Yeah, he
And just
stayed
left
the
her there
night.
crying. Like,
Yeah.
fuck that guy.
Icky.
Dude,
I would be
I just...
fuming if I was her.
I read that and I was fuming. I was like, I'm picking this
Dude.
one. I'm picking this one.
I'm putting this man on blast.
So
Fuck
here's
you.
the update.
Okay.
I hope she divorced his ass.
Yeah.
He came home to an empty house and an empty bed at 11:30 p.m. and was not happy. He called me saying I needed to come home with the kids now, and I told him no. It's 11:30, the kids are asleep, and I was too. We will talk when I come home Tuesday. He started screaming at me that I had absolutely had to come home tomorrow morning. Who was going to make dinner? I said, no, we needed this time, plus my dad and sister was taking the twins to Disneyland tomorrow. And I have 2 appointments tomorrow that my mom was taking me to. There will probably be one more update on Tuesday. Sadly, I'm too exhausted to keep up with him. I think I might be the asshole because game is that time he gets with his friends and Mother's Day is just another day. Am I the asshole?
Girl,
No,
what did
girl.
he say to you the
No.
second time? That's horrible. Somebody give
Who's
this
gonna
woman a
make
hug.
dinner? Like, fuck
Yeah.
that guy.
Who's gonna make dinner?
Are you
come
not
home.
an adult?
You're gonna
Who am I
grow
gonna
up
eat?
and figure it the fuck out, baby boy. Oh my god.
Jesus. This is the only time he gets with his friends. When do you get time with your friends?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
you're
what
home
about
with
your
kids all
friends,
day.
homegirl?
Where's your
Like,
4 to
you're
6 hour
home-
hangout?
Yeah. What day
No.
of the week do you get to go hang out
He's
with your
the
friends
victim.
for 4 to 6 hours?
Yeah, well, where's her free time
Sometimes
to do that
twice.
stuff?
Yeah.
Like, she's a slave at the house because they only have one car. So if he's gone at work Monday through Friday, the car is gone literally all week. He's
Literally.
That
always
also
at work.
means that on Mother's Day, she was literally stuck at home, like just with the kids.
As
Yeah.
another
But,
day.
like stuck at home. No way to like, she couldn't even take the kids out or anything. Like
No.
try to make it up for herself.
Yeah, no. Here's a comment.
Girlfriend, you're not the asshole.
Here, give me-
Someone said, "Not the asshole. As a very long time D&D player, your husband is the asshole. It's time for you to point out that he's using wisdom as a dump stat, and he'll be paying more gold pieces in child support when you leave him for someone who is less of a far traveler and more of a folk hero." And the original poster
Amen.
said, "I got a good laugh out of this. Thank you." That's so funny.
Yeah, that's good. Spending
You'll be
more gold
paying
should say
coins.
that.
pieces in
That
child
should be
support.
in the divorce papers. Like the starting statement.
That's
Another
crazy.
comment. "Holy shit. You just stay at home all day doing nothing. Divorce. Divorce immediately. This is heinous. Take Mother's Day off. Wake him up at 6 a.m. in the morning and tell him you're going on a Mother's Day trip and he'll need to watch the kids all day. Maybe even stay away on Monday. Make him call in sick to work. Show him how much work is staying at home and doing nothing all day, quote for quote. Not the asshole."
Yeah. Fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy.
Jesus. It's the fuck are these women putting up with? I just
That's-
couldn't
I
even.
wonder
I
that
could
all the time.
not fucking imagine that shit.
But
I
I
Some of
can't
these
even
posts-
understand his point of I try to understand everyone's point of view. I can't understand his. These are your kids. Yeah, you get home and play with them. But your wife needs a fucking break. She's with them all the time.
Your wife
All
is a
the
person.
time.
Yeah.
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 And she's
also
still
to
a
just
person.
completely like dismiss Mother's Day like that to your own wife that bared your children and
Her
takes
fucking
care
day.
of them
I would
every
almost
fucking
imagine
day.
I would imagine his friends don't even know that like he's doing this.
Probably
you know?
They
not.
Because
probably don't.
any good friends would be like, dude, like
What?
Go be with
spend
your
time with your
wife.
fucking wife.
we can
Yeah,
wait a day.
why were well,
He's
all those
probably-
guys.
I was gonna say he's probably telling them like, "Oh yeah, she said it's fine.
Oh yeah, she's
Doesn't
cool
care.
with it.
Yeah,
She's totally cool with it.
yeah, probably.
It's not a big deal, guys. Let's just
Oh
do
my
the session."
god.
So
That's
we'll go around, but we'll figure out. I'll reveal what they decided if she's the asshole or not. But what do you guys think, Annika?
he's the asshole. She is not the asshole.
Yeah, Titania,
She is not the asshole.
Preston.
No, she's a fucking victim. So no.
She's
Yeah.
a victim of abuse. Is what that is.
Oh God.
She's definitely not the asshole, and Reddit decided that she is not the asshole.
Good.
Thank
So-
God.
Good.
Yeah, and that's the only update that's been up so far. So
Damn.
I hope she left.
yeah, I hope she
left.
divorces him. 'Cause that's freaking ridiculous. Like poor kids, but like I hope she gets divorced.
Uh,
Who wants to go next?
mine's not as exciting as that, but
It's
I
all
can
good.
go next. Mine's very player campaign related.
Okay.
So mine is, hold on, I've got to fix, I was trying to do something with my headphone cord and it's kicking my ass. Okay. Mine is, am I the asshole for killing a friend's player character in D&D?
Ooh, this is the one I was waiting for.
Have you,
Now, I haven't read it, but like you said that, and I
The
was
title.
like, ooh.
yeah, it's spicy. This one is admittedly not the norm for this sub, but I am feeling a bit guilty about it. A few things before we start. Oh, this is like what D&D is. I'm skipping that part. I was playing a paladin who is a gregarious and belligerent, and one of my friends, a cleric, who I just want to point out the grammar in this. Bear with me here. So I'm just going to
Yeah.
start over.
Just
I
try
was
your best.
playing a paladin who is a gregarious and belligerent man, and one of my friends plays a cleric who is a sneaky woman literally marked as evil. We have had arguments both in and out of character because of different play methods and character choices before. We definitely had problems with each other's characters and for each other. For reference, my character was the one to hire out an entire brothel, while hers was the one that shanked a madam after failing to intimidate her. So both of them are assholes in the campaign. We also have 3 other players who don't matter in this story. We were facing a mind flayer, a mind-controlling enemy, with the rest of our party. It targets me because my character is big, dumb, and out in the front. It controls me, and I fail the save, so I pretty much have to do what it says now. Most dungeon masters would take the character and use it until control ends, but mine gives us more leeway and trusts us to play it right.
Okay.
Here's the part where I may be the asshole. I did not like my friend's character, so when the monster orders me to kill my teammates, I go for the closest one, her. I roll high and use my highest spell slots and end up killing her character outright. I did not like the character and figured this was as good of a chance as any to get rid of it because that's what I was ordered to do. And what may put me as even more of an asshole, the spell I used to kill her was the last spell of that kind. I used my last spell that could have revived her to kill her instead, mainly so she would stay dead. My DM definitely thought this was overkill, and she was pissed. My defense is that my character was mind-controlled and ordered to do it, and she was the closest enemy to me, so I did my best to fulfill the Mind Flayer's orders. But I definitely went harder than I could have. Am I the asshole?
No.
Ooh.
Yeah.
No.
I would say no, because like if you get mine, it's okay. One thing, it's there was extra motive to go for that kill, but if anything, that extra motive really applies because you're mind controlled by a mind flayer. Like if it says execute this motherfucker, you're gonna try to execute him because you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
you
Right.
know? It's the same instance. If the DM took that character, they would do the same thing. They would try to kill the target.
I think in my opinion, he's a little bit of an asshole for going so hard. Like, the last spell slot of his kind to just kill her dead. Like, he could have, hit her with a lower level spell for the role play and, like,
maybe,
really
like,
messed her
made,
up.
like, something else kill her. Like, maybe just knock down a bunch of her health so, like, something else ended up killing her. But I feel like this one's kind of up to the DM of that campaign.
Well,
there's 3 edits.
And I think
I'll get into that in a bit.
there's 3 edits.
Yeah.
Damn. Cause like it's hard because obviously the DM in that campaign would know if this was like outside malicious intent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it was like just simply because he doesn't like the way that person plays or doesn't like that person in general, like that's not a fair reason to kill their character off like that.
Yeah.
But he was given a really, really solid opportunity to do so, and I can't be mad at the guy for taking that opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he didn't like the character. He was given a very blatant and obvious opportunity to kill her off.
Yeah.
And it wasn't against the rules. And if anything, it was like you guys were saying, was kind of even more into the story that he did it that way, or like you can kind of twist it to be like that. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I can't blame a man for just going for the opportunity, but also like maybe the overkill was a bit much, and I think it's kind of dependent on the DM of that campaign to decide if he was an asshole about it or not.
Yeah.
13
Well,
months. Damn, Matt.
Howdy, partners.
Howdy, partner.
Matt.
Howdy,
One of
howdy.
go ahead.
So my thing is, overall, they talked about having this character's evil, this player's character's good. They have that dynamic where they're constantly at each other's throats. So when that Mind Flayer goes to take over, and they're like, "Hey, kill these people," the closest one, that makes sense. That's usually how.
Yeah,
that
the
goes.
closest one. Yeah.
And
she was the closest one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and usually Mind Flayers, that thrall will have just a little bit of themselves back there. And so all this time not being able to do anything, and they killed a tavern keep because they failed an intimidation check, not being able to act upon it, finally have something to act upon with, and be like, no, I'm going to make sure that this evil can't come back, regardless if I'm enthralled or not. I'm making sure this person can't come back. So I think that was justified.
Yeah.
The last spell of a kind, and they just acted upon it. I think that's fair. Now, the DM should not have a completely evil character, and usually in character creation, you want to make sure the party meshes. Some conflict's fine, but having a lawful good and a pure evil.
Well, they're both evil.
Well, right, but you said one was like true evil, right?
Yeah, one's like true evil. They're both like murder hobos. Like,
right.
Both of their characters are dicks.
Yeah,
that was
and
the first
never want a true evil in the party.
Honestly.
Like, that's just something you don't put in there.
And it sounds like too from this story that they outside of the characters have some issues too.
Yeah.
So,
and that's like what I was kind of getting at. Is like if this was like outside malicious intent, that's fucked up. But if it wasn't, and that's why I said it's like up to that DM to decide, because he knows those people assuming it's he knows those people personally.
Yeah.
And so they would have a better idea if they're being an asshole or not. It's a little hard to know from an outside perspective.
So these are the edits. First one, edit, her character was the only one my character could reach easily. We were melee characters.
Okay.
Yeah. And the other 3 were ranged. I would have had to deliberately go around her character in order to hit the others.
Yeah, that wouldn't really make sense.
Yeah.
I don't think attacking her was the problem though. I think it's what he used.
I think that's
the problem.
The fact that he used his last big bad spell. And then edit 2. DM was not pissed, just uncomfortable. Other 3 players could care less. They saw it as a murder hobo versus bar brawling bank robber. And then edit 3, if it matters, her character was the only murder hobo / serial killer of our group. The methods we disagreed upon were primarily whether we should be bombing the town and murdering people, her method, or just fucking prostitutes and scamming generals, my method.
I don't want to be part of that table.
I was gonna say, that's definitely not a game I would want to play with others. But but that's the campaign they ran, you know.
Yeah,
that's the characters maybe it was their first one, and they were just fucking around and wanted to push all the boundaries, you know.
From the perspective, it kind of seems like the DM just wanted to give the players like as much free reign to do whatever they wanted as possible, which I can respect.
Yeah.
But there's a limit. Like if you know you have a couple of bad eggs in the batch, you gotta like
gotta reel
some standards, you know, like,
yeah.
Hey guys, if we're gonna be 60% good, 40% evil, we gotta pick a side. We're either running a good campaign or we're running an evil campaign. We can do either, but we have to make a choice. It's not gonna be
you can't do this whole middle of the road. Like sometimes we do fucked up, even though who the fuck am I to say that? I was about to say sometimes they do fucked up shit, but they all have good intentions. That's what we do. That's literally what we do.
You know, but what it is though is like if you have 2 like shitsters in your group, and I think honestly the DM should have stepped in and just directed his mind control.
Yeah,
I feel like
the DM gave a little too much freedom on that,
especially with how these characters play. I mean,
and even the people.
That.
Well, if the DM, that's why it's so important to talk with your players about comfortability. If there's issues they're having with other people, like I do with you guys, like all the time, and if he should know that there's some bad blood, and if he knows that, and he knows there's a situation that could possibly arise like this, he should have just took the character, like you guys said. I think that it stems back to what I was saying, is that every DM's first crucial mistake is trying to say yes to every player's whim. That's noob DM 101. You try to say yes to everything in hopes that it'll make it fun, ultimately making it not fun.
Yeah.
So
I'm pretty sure the compel spell is to attack the closest one. So the DM should have said you are compelled by the Mind Flayer to attack, and the spell is you attack the closest person to you other than the one who cast the spell.
Right.
That should have been implemented in the DM's description of what was going on.
Yeah. I do think using its most powerful spell was kind of overkill, and kind of doesn't make sense the more I think about it, because if the enthralled creature should have the goal to survive, but also cause a devastating amount of damage. So strategically, they would want to use that, gung-ho spell when there is real call for it. So I think
Right.
out the gate, taking out, they like to analyze who is the strongest person in this group. I'm going to attack you first, but save this because I need to figure out who here is a real threat. Identify the threat, powerful spell. And if the person that they were fighting is the threat, okay, powerful spell, boom.
Because it says too that they're both melee characters, but he used a range. It sounds
I was
like
thinking about that too. It kind of confused me a little bit.
Because so I can read you a couple comments, one on his side, one not on his side. So one of the comments says, "You're the asshole. You went for an irreversible kill against another player. That's a pretty low blow. Attacking your character was a reasonable move, but going for your biggest attack and annihilating her was too far. Plus, you know it was a personal thing. Other people will pick up on that too. That brings player drama into the game, and other players don't deserve that."
Word.
True.
And then somebody else said on the other side, "Not the asshole. Maybe it's just how my group likes to play, but when a PC is under mind control, they still act as their character, but with whatever discretion I, the DM, give them. I usually leave it at attack your allies. This falls more on the DM, though, because if this isn't the result of what he wanted, then he should have done something differently. Forcing PvP like that is bound to have some hard hits."
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, yeah, I can agree with
I
that.
honestly I have a little outside answer here. DM's the asshole. DM is the asshole.
Yeah.
It's not the players. That DM set him up for failure on that one.
Yeah. I kind of
All
agree
right,
with
what are
that.
your...
Not that the DM was intentionally an asshole, but I think he was accidentally the asshole.
A little irresponsible. If
Yeah.
anything.
In my
Yes,
opinion, he's the asshole, and the DM was not paying attention.
Yeah.
Man.
What are your guys' opinions? You think
This
he's the
this
asshole?
one was kind of hard.
This
Yeah,
one
I
is hard.
I didn't. Once I broke it down, I was like, yeah, that is kind of...
I'm gonna
That
say
is
the
kind of a
player's
touchy.
not the asshole.
Okay.
I just feel like he's not.
All right.
I still go with DM's the asshole.
Well,
DM's
I agree.
definitely the
DM,
asshole,
DM's the
fucked up.
asshole.
but taking him out of the equation,
The personalness of it is what makes me think he's an asshole. I think he did what
Yeah.
he was supposed to, but he took it too far.
Yeah.
that's the thing
I
though,
think-
is that like he did everything right. He followed the rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He used something else in his arsenal.
Yeah. He followed the rules, but I think he was an asshole about it. And the whole
I'm gonna go with yes, he's the asshole. But my brain's trying to think like, oh, well, he followed the rules, so like how, like he did
I think
everything
because
right.
it's the intention behind it.
yeah,
It's the human side.
It's the personal connection part of it that makes him an asshole.
yeah, because I mean, like as much like I think what he did as far as the story goes was right. I think what he did was right, but for the wrong reasons. So he's the asshole.
Yes. And people who say like the whole, well, my character would have done that to just ruin parts of campaigns.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like people can take that too far.
There's a limit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
And
People
so
can definitely take that too far.
Yeah.
Reddit determined, drum roll, he is the asshole.
Okay.
There's a lot of mixed comments though. It goes back and forth. So
It's
I
a
see
hard
why.
one because even then he's not really an asshole, but out of the two of them, he kind of made himself the asshole.
Yeah.
But I think I think he kind of wanted that though.
I think it kind of stems down to like he did the right thing for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Like he played it as he should have played. Like if there was no malice outside of D&D, I would say yes, not the asshole.
Not the asshole.
Did it right.
Yes.
But there's outside malice that motivated him. Knowing that, and he knows that outside malice was a motivator. He even confessed it. Then he's the asshole.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah. Mhm.
That's what makes the difference.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So I say, yeah, he's the asshole. Who wants to go next?
I'll go.
That one was a tough one, dude.
Yeah.
That one
That was a tough one.
I thought it was going to be an easy one. Then as I was reading through it, I was like, this is actually kind of hard. This is
Yeah.
Yeah.
Player kills are a difficult one to
Mhm.
weed out.
Mm-hmm.
It
Well,
really
and I
just
think
depends
what-
table to table.
I agree.
One last comment on it, and then we can go to Preston's. But
Yeah.
the comment that was saying that he was the asshole that said that brings drama to other players. I think that's a really good point too.
Yeah, like
because
now-
like having that outside intention brought into the game like that. Now, like, what if this other person now is gonna like kill his character next session,
right,
or
like,
within the next few sessions because she's still pissed that happened.
Yeah,
and she knows it was personal
with the intent of playing an evil character.
So now, like,
Yeah.
you're kind of just now that would shit rolls downhill. It's just gonna
Yeah.
get like kind of worse from here. I feel like
Yep.
for their
It really just
campaign
comes down to knowing your table and like the maturity level and the relationships between everybody. And as I still stand by, I think the way they went about it was fine. I think going overkill and taking them out was fine. But it just kind of stems back down to the fact that there was outside malice. I kind of, with that comment saying like you kind of went overboard, I disagree, because at the end of the day, if I was playing it, I would have saved the the gung ho spell for a bad situation, but they were completely within their rights, and their goal was to take out the opposition, so they did. Why they did was the bad thing, but I think going overkill and making sure they were dead was not a bad thing. But then again,
what was
kind
the
of
DM doing?
Yeah, that's another thing too. The
Yeah,
DM should have just taken.
Where was the DM in all of this?
The DM should have just taken the sheet and been like, "All right, I'm controlling it."
Right.
Yeah.
It's like,
Which is normally how that goes when you get enthralled. Is you no longer have control over your character. The NPC that's controlling him has control. Like, you still talk everything out. Like, you still interact as that character, but you have no control over anything you do.
And I feel like DMs, that's how it should be to stop issues like this.
Yep.
Because then you
can
can go,
add
okay,
DM,
well, the
that's fine.
DM killed you, not me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And
The
no one
DM's
can be
also
mad
there
at the
to-
DM.
yeah, right. And the DM's kind of there to make sure those things don't happen, like you guys were saying,
Exactly.
to absorb the drama. Like, you guys hate me, not each other.
Yeah, right.
know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you could argue as a DM, like, that's just the story. You don't have to be necessarily mad at me. That's just the story. That's how it happened.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. That's a tough one,
Alright.
though. Mine was
So-
pretty clear, cut, and dry, but
No, I
Yours
like
was like
yours.
from 2 sentences in. I read,
Yeah.
you literally, in yours,
Asshole.
you said, like,
I read the first fucking the top line of it, and I was like, you're
I
not
just
the
I
asshole.
really liked the shock
Literally.
factor, like how like it just kept getting worse and worse and worse.
yeah.
It really
what I liked
did.
about
I think he
it.
just left her crying. And
Yeah.
then just proceeded to leave.
Left and then stayed the night at his friend's house.
It's ridiculous, dude.
My
Ridiculous.
God.
Man up,
Ridiculous.
go home, have your conversation. If you're going to leave, just know you have an argument waiting once you get home. Just own up to it.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Preston.
This one's called "Am I the Asshole for Not Nerfing My Character?"
Ooh, okay.
Interesting.
In the Dungeon and Dragon campaign, me and the DM are the only veteran players. I'm an extremely strong Storm Sorcerer build with nutso stats. Like, legit absurd. And my DM watched me roll my dice. Stats are Charisma 20, Intelligence 16, Constitution 14, Wisdom 14, Dex 10, Strength 7.
Dex is too low.
That's not ridiculous stats. That's pretty
Mm-mm.
standard.
It started off strong,
I
but
was
I
like,
mean,
20?
like,
Okay.
Charisma as a sorcerer? Yeah, 20? That's 5 right there. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
But like 10 decks and that like 14s isn't
your-
crazy.
Yeah.
your Dex is
that's
a
not
0 and your 7 is a -2.
Well, was
Yeah.
this? What level are they at?
Does not say.
I would
Okay.
assume probably just starting at the gate level 1, but
Yeah.
you rolled. My thing is, if you rolled it in front of me, then whatever
I mean,
you
yeah,
rolled,
if you rolled
cool.
it in front of the DM.
You got all 20s across the board. Fine, you know.
Lucky
Fuck
you.
yeah, dude.
Lucky
But
you.
like,
Yeah.
that's also the stats aren't that crazy. So
Yeah.
So proceed.
It says there is one newbie player who plays a fighter with poor stats and weak abilities. He has voiced to the DM that I just kill everything, and all he does is tank for me. And our druid comrade does the same. He is also weak socially, where I have a 20 in charisma, and I'm absurdly.
That's not spelled
It
right.
has a B and a D in there. Absurdly.
Dropping B's and D's.
Yeah,
These bees.
good socially. The DM asked me after this session if I could nerf my PC to make the fighter feel useful. I told
okay,
him no.
pause. Pause. Okay, so that's the okay. So
There's some problems with that.
What he should have done is thoroughly sat down with the fighter character and
taught
refine
him how to
whatever
play
this
it.
guy is missing. Because the fighter is built to fucking destroy everything. So clearly, the new player is doing something wrong. Whether he's not adding his extra actions or his bonuses, or he missed a
probably
racial
just,
bonus.
missed a couple things.
He should sit down with the fighter and refine that character. If anything, sit with the fighter and re-roll the fighter's stats. Say, I'll do this one time. Let's re-roll it together. Re-roll the stats. End of story.
Right.
Instead of nerfing
DM's the
somebody
asshole.
who did it right. Sorry.
No, you're right. I already am with you on that.
I told him no, and that he should have designed the encounters to be more balanced and not just have me kill everything, where the fighter did 13 damage and I did 40. So am I the asshole, or is my DM the asshole?
DM's the asshole.
DM's the
No
asshole.
question about it. No question about it.
If you followed all the rules making your character, you're not the asshole.
No,
you did everything
not the
right.
asshole.
You did everything right.
You
It's
did
also
everything you
too.
could.
It's a DM's responsibility to make sure he designs an encounter, an action economy, and an environment that complements both the enemy and all the players.
And you have to make sure, especially when you have a player that's never played before, that they feel supported and they understand what's going on. Because no one's having fun.
Understand what's going on.
Yeah, no one's having fun if they can't hit anything because they don't know how to play.
Exactly.
Oh my god.
Yeah, the DM's definitely the asshole in that scenario, and
Yeah.
I feel bad for all of those players.
Me
Yeah.
too. Me too.
I can imagine talking to someone and be like, hey, your character's too good and theirs sucks. So we're going to make
Nerf
yours
you.
worse.
Yeah, like we're gonna make your character way worse to make up for those guys. Like,
It
no,
just it sounds like to me.
it's those guys to make them match with the person who's already up there.
Yeah.
And make
It's-
sure they understand their characters, like especially like I feel like I was new to D&D for like 3 fucking years. Like
There's a lot.
even now I still feel like I'm new to it sometimes because there's so much going on and so much that you have to have thorough understanding of to be able to comfortably and confidently play the game.
Yeah.
And if as a new player, like as a DM, you have to go over
Thanks for the
everything
follow, Burning
with your-
Emerald. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. But like you have to go through everything with new people. Building their character, making sure they fully understand everything about their character and everything that they're choosing for their character, and also understand how the game itself works. And so like if you're noticing that your newer players aren't, like doing maybe as well as your experienced players, that's because you as a DM didn't teach your new players.
Well,
Yeah.
and it also comes down to like the DM during that session 0 when everything's being made. At that point, the DM needs to be thinking, okay, so these are the different things to be running. What type of scenario? There's a few edits that are on here that will kind of open up like what's being ran, but that needs to be announced in session 0 during character building. Like, okay, so this is the setting. What kind of character do you want to play? And depending on what you're looking at, that depends on which class you're going to go with and your race. And that's something the DM needs to be upfront about. So I agree. As far as this part, the DM's the asshole.
Yeah. His crucial mistake again just sounds like he's trying to make everybody happy and then sacrificing the person he thinks can take it the most. So the new people who are more volatile to quitting on the spot don't quit.
Yeah, because he's a veteran player. He's like, hey, let's knock you down. These are new guys. I don't want to hurt their feelings. Like,
Yeah.
no.
That's stupid. The DM's just not doing his full job, to be honest.
Like, is that really a veteran DM? If
Yeah.
they're
It's a veteran
doing shit
DM.
like that.
I would assume a veteran DM is 5 years at the table, like consecutive. If you're any younger than that, you're not a veteran. You might be a good DM or an experienced DM, but not a veteran DM.
Like that's big thing to say when
That's a
you're
big
making
status.
bad character decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what are the edits?
So the edit. First one. Me and the fighter had an idea, so I retooled my spells to be more status and AoE based instead of a burst of damage, and I did end up nerfing my con to 10 to make me more of a glass cannon. he got a +2 to strength to get him to 20 like me.
Okay. So he nerfed the veteran and then buffed the new player?
Yeah. And the veteran player had to take away all of his DPS and just like, okay, I guess I'll just do status and give guidance and shit. And here's area stuff. So that way you can go in and hit things. That's not fair to that veteran player.
That's not
fair
at all.
It just it sounds like the DM's solution was just, let's just buff the strength stat. Okay, now you should be able to play as you should. He's missing on that sheet. He's missing something.
And his constitution was 14, and he dropped him down to 10. So depending on what level you're at, you've lost 3 hit points. You've lost 3 hit points because of that.
Yeah.
And the other guy is now bumped up to 20, which he gets now 5.
And he still won't be able to play right. Yeah. Like, that's the issue isn't his stats, it's that he doesn't understand how to play his character. And that's not a bad thing on that person.
No, it just means that he needs someone to explain to him how to play his character.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which should be the DM's job.
It's the DM. It is the DM's job, dude. Like, it sounds like he's not a veteran DM. Status quo.
No.
He's not veteran DM. He's just probably played for like a year or two and thinks that he's a veteran DM. But part of being a veteran DM is knowing how to handle these issues like thoroughly. And it's also a issue too. Is it sounds like there's not balanced encounters, like they were saying. Like if it's the encounters, if he's doing all the damage himself, it's too easy. Like, he needs to make it more difficult and more spread out so the players can divide and pick targets separately. If the new player wants to be able to hack and slash at an enemy, then there's probably not enough enemies. You know?
Well, and if you're doing 40 damage starting out and your fighter's only doing 13 in that one turn, something is missing to that.
Yeah.
And you're probably using the wrong weapon, because granted, fighters are versatile in all weapons, but if they don't have the stats for strength or dex, that's going to affect things.
Well, and I think too, like,
or not, like it.
Yeah, and I think with like the DM too, like they have discretion. You know, like you don't know how many hit points an enemy has. If you know his character, the veteran character, is really fucking him up, then they can step back and go, "Oh, he's alive, but he's still, he's bleeding, but he's still kicking," and the fighter can step in. Like, you can like solve that problem and give opportunity because you have the power to do that.
Yeah.
You know, you can lengthen, like Wyatt was saying, you can lengthen that encounter, you can add enemies, that's your whole, you have to create the playing field.
It sounds like the encounters are just too simple, because it sounds like he needs to be adding like some kind of environmental effect. Like, something a lot of DMs will do is like they'll have a condition in play, rough terrain, or some kind of aspect not related to something that can be hit by an attack that makes it more difficult to fight fluently.
Well, so have someone in there to counteract the magic that's being put out.
Yeah.
Like yesterday, Wyatt and I were playing Baldur's Gate, and I'm playing a sorcerer. I couldn't do anything because there's several wizards that had counterspell. And I couldn't do shit, and then they cast silence over us. That's how you nullify a caster. You have someone that can dispel magic and have an AoE, so they have to move out of that area for your melee characters to go do something. That's ways to balance an encounter where that fighter would have excelled for that. Like, hey, need you to go take out their casters so I can do my casting so I can get us out of this. And that's just up to the DM.
Yeah.
DM's the asshole.
You're not doing it right.
I do have one other edit. Said, so we are playing in a Lovecraftian world where espionage and being able to be political about things is key. The fighter now is wanting to be able to do that as well. I get new players wanting to be the end-all be-all, the great player, but there is an issue here where the DM is not talking to them and they can't just be the best player ever.
I think it's that he's trying to be the best player ever. I think the DM didn't create a good character for that world, or allowed that player to create a character that didn't work in that world.
Yeah. I think the DM gave too much leeway to that new character where he put him up to that 20, and he's like, all right, well, I also want to be good at talking to people, and I'm not. The sorcerer's good at it, but I want the spotlight. and Lovecraftian, that's like Call of Cthulhu kind of stuff. So a lot of mind games are going on, and you need a higher charisma and higher wisdom to be able to make your way through that. But as a fighter, the charisma and wisdom aren't really your stats. You have strength, dex, and con. That's your basics right there.
It's like you were saying earlier. Like you have to help them like set the scene and build a character from that. Maybe they could have chosen not a fighter. You know,
Right?
Yeah. A fighter might have been the wrong call. Honestly.
Yeah, I don't think this new player went into it understanding.
Yeah,
like I think just from the start they just did not understand how D&D worked, or how the characters work, or how the races worked, or classes, or any of that. And now they have unrealistic expectations, and the DM's not putting their foot down. I.e., DM's the fucking asshole.
Yeah.
DM's the asshole.
DM's the asshole.
Yeah, because if you're playing that kind of game, I wouldn't play a hack and slash character in a Lovecraftian game.
Yeah. If it's an espionage game, no, dude.
No.
And at first I thought it was going to be a situation where like, oh, this player just wants to be the cool hero that saves the day and wants the spotlight 24/7. At first I thought that, like the first few sentences in, I was like, okay, it's just one of those typical, player types where they come into D&D thinking they'll be this awesome badass. And they're like, oh wait, I'm missing all the time. That's not cool. But then as it got deeper and deeper, I'm like, no, dude, there's something wrong on the back end. Action economy, or their sheet's not built up right.
Yeah, and it's not the new player's fault or the veteran player's fault.
No, it's the DM's
DM,
fault.
figure it out. But I'm talking, if you're seeing this,
DM,
do better.
Do better. Figure it out.
Do better.
Right. What did Reddit determine?
Reddit determined that the player was the asshole.
What?
Really?
Yeah. So the comments say that as a game, when you join together, you need to make sure that everyone is having fun, and everyone has to make sacrifices. And the comments kind of go off and on it. But yeah, they determined that the veteran player was the asshole because he was not willing to sacrifice to
What about him having fun? If everyone's supposed to have fun, then what about him? He made his character. If
it's the DM's responsibility.
Broke any rules creating his character, then yes, I would say like he's the asshole because he didn't make his character right, and now he's refusing to make it normal, whatever. But he made his character right.
Yeah, he didn't buff anything out of what he was.
He didn't cheat. He didn't add something in he wasn't supposed to.
Unless he did.
Made his character. Unless he did, but it doesn't really sound like it.
I mean, he rolled in front of the DM.
I mean, he rolled in front of the DM, like.
Wow.
Damn. All right, Reddit.
Reddit. What the fuck ever, Reddit?
I thought that was obvious. That's so funny.
That poor player, dude. He's going to play that table and think he's the problem. And then probably not play Dungeons and Dragons ever again. And he's not. Come to our table, man. We'll take care of you.
Come over here.
You can be as strong as you want, and we're all going to be really grateful that you're here.
Yeah.
Well, it's not going to help the new player, and it's not going to help the veteran either. They'll probably both end up just quitting the table.
Yeah.
To be honest. Because no matter if he doesn't have an understanding of how to play efficiently, buffing his strength to 20 is not going to change anything. In the end, he's going to get what? An extra +2 to his dice rolls? It's not going to help if you're still rolling 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like, even with the +5, it's like, man,
it's not going to fix how you play the game.
It sounds like he just shouldn't be playing fighter if he wants to do a bunch of DPS.
Go rogue.
Yeah, rogue, ranger.
Yeah, that's what I did in my first campaign.
Rogue's solid for a beginner, man.
It is. That's great. It's
a great time. Espionage campaign. Like,
oh yeah, that'd be even better.
Bard
he should have been told.
Class into rogue if I was doing espionage.
Well, for a beginner player, though.
Yeah.
Like just a rogue is fine, I think.
Right.
If anything, he should. It sounds like he wasn't just told like what the environment would be or what this play style would be, and he picked something that a lot of people who are playing D&D for the first time get recommended. Human fighter, play that easy.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Like,
and it's easy.
It is easy.
Yeah,
but it also depends on as a new player, like what you want your character to be like.
Yeah,
and Lovecraftian.
You got to make sure that you enjoy it.
Yeah, Call of Cthulhu is not a beginner game. I would not have brought in a new player to any type of TTRPG into a Call of Cthulhu Lovecraft game. That was not fair to the DM.
That's the DM's the asshole, man. What's Reddit on?
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah,
What is the
fucking for
Reddit
real.
on right
And-
now?
Wrong.
They got the
Reddit's
wrong
all of
answer.
Reddit's wrong. And we're right.
All of you.
Oh my god.
All right.
Natanya.
What do you got, Natanya?
So similar to Annika's, the grammar's kind of here and there on this one. So if
Nobody
I make
can
some
tell.
mistakes, sorry about that.
All good.
It's more so punctuation issues that I noticed.
Yeah,
So
I
I
have
was
that
just
too.
reading it kind of
I was
bad,
having
but
that issue too with mine.
yeah. It's also very long. So I'm sorry about that. This was the
Buckle
best
in.
one I could find.
Good. No worries.
All right. Am I the asshole for playing my character how they'd act in a given scenario?
That's vague.
I know. Now some context. Our primary DM came back to start DMing again after letting another DM/player in the group run his own part of the campaign as a DM and tell his own little story. Playing as a princess, I go to visit my mother and she seems off, especially after telling her that my dad/her husband is dead. In character, I chalk this up to shock and closing up mentally after hearing news like this. I can understand that. Now, obviously, my player brain says this may be a red flag. Anyways, she asks me to go to the family vault and check one of the furthest in the back. So this part was a little confusing for me, so I'm just going to re-explain it real fast because it was
Yes.
worded weird. But essentially, she's saying that in the campaign, her father had just died and she was going as a princess, she was going to go tell her mother about it, and the mother was acting off hearing that news, like didn't respond the way that she would expect hearing that news.
Okay.
That was the red flag she was talking about. She's like, I kind of caught that as a red flag, but my character didn't really care or notice it because she was still in shock from hearing the news of her father, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Where am I? Anyways, she asks me, the mother asks the princess to go to the family vault and check one of the furthest in the back. I check mine, nothing crazy. I check dad's and it's empty, and I find a letter from dad saying to not trust anyone. The letter was addressed to me. I think, oh shit, and I move to my mom's vault and find her dead on the floor. Based on my analysis, she has been there for a few months. The in-game time frame has been a few months. So that means since the campaign started, the woman upstairs who I thought was my mother and the Duchess is a fake. In
What a
character,
plot twist.
I
Good
know, right?
storytelling.
In character, I imagine this would mess with her mentally as she was very close to her parents. I also make the decision to check the vault I was originally sent down to open because I'm curious as a player, and in character, she would want to know what this is all about. So to also kind of clarify that, there was 4 vaults total. She went to 3 of them, and none of them were the ones she was directed to go to. So she goes back down to check that last vault that she was directed to go to.
Okay. My fake
Lo
mother.
Yep. Lo and behold, until next session, we are left on a cliffhanger. That a loud growling voice yells, "Freedom!" and it echoes throughout the castle. I think, oh shit, look what we did. Now, the part that is apparently I'm the asshole is me missing all of these red flags and not doing anything about it. This is coming from our, as she quotes, pushy player. This player, who I'll call Kyle for time's sake, was the only other party member with me in that vault. Kyle also opened an unnamed vault. I was told even as a princess, I didn't even need to know what was in there by family. At the same time, and per the DM, that's what caused the cliffhanger to happen. After the session ends, he sends me this message. Look, part of me isn't sure if you're playing a super oblivious character or if you really didn't catch any of that. I mean, Jesus Christ. Fortunately, I'm not worried yet. As a player, 1, sometimes it's fun to knowingly walk into a trap, and 2, I always have like 3 ideas minimum to get out of any given situation before I start to panic. So he's obviously really cocky.
He's better than everyone else.
Yeah. I responded with, "Oh, I caught the don't trust anyone thing, but look at it this way. She just had news of her dad's death. Mom is also dead, and she realized that the person who was mom was a fake this whole time. I figured someone who has that much shit change in their world in the matter of a day would be out of their mindset otherwise.
Yeah.
I'm not actually super worried. We will probably be fine, but we shall see. Because remember, it left on a cliffhanger, so none of them really knew what's coming of all this. And she says, yes, I agree. Sometimes it's fun. She didn't message this, but she said this on her own. Yes, I agree. Sometimes it is fun to knowingly walk into a trap. I agree, but it was more so saying, hey, look what we got ourselves into. Ha ha ha. He responded, yeah, well, whatever's in the big vault is likely more dangerous than whatever's in the smaller vault, so good luck with that. By the way, now that your parents are dead, Celine, which is her character, has no promise to keep you alive or safe. Or I think that's the mom or something. This is still confusing.
It sounds like Celine is the jerk character's.
It might be, yeah.
Character.
Yeah. Celine has no promise to keep you alive or safe, so it's now on you to make it worth her while. Just saying, yeah, you're right. I think that is the asshole character.
Oh, what a dick.
I know.
Yeah.
My last response. Sure, I suppose. Point still remains, though. Emotional distress would mess with her character and cause lapses and obvious judgment calls. At the same time, I also, in real life, have to deal with a child that needs me at random intervals when I play. Sometimes I miss things and details. We will deal with what comes our way. So now she's saying, like, also outside of, you know, the game, she also has, like, she has a real life kid that she's taking care of, so she misses details sometimes.
Yeah.
That's reasonable.
His reply was, in all caps, sure! Exclamation point. No prob! Exclamation point.
Oh my god.
Then I thought that was it, but no. He wasn't done yet. He then sent an almost 10-point bullet point red flag list to our Discord chat for everyone to read. I'm going to copy it so everyone can read for further context. I'm Scarlet and Kyle is Celine. So yeah.
What the fuck?
So this is the message he sent in the Discord chat.
Oh god.
If I could just round up all the red flags from last session. Number 1, castle is empty. No one greets Scarlet. Number 2, Scarlet's mother orders Scarlet to do vague shit that is 1, peasant work, and 2, something she could and would have been better off doing herself. 3, Scarlet's mother shows disapproval of her daughter out of nowhere, though this could be chalked up to a DM playing a very maternal figure as Ma Archer. Number 4, Scarlet's mom is unfazed by the news of her husband's passing. Number 5, unmarked vault next to Scarlet. Scarlet accepts that as a princess, she doesn't need to know some shit that she would probably need to know. Number 6, Scarlet finds a note from her father reading, "Don't trust anyone." Number 7, Scarlet's father vault is cleared before Scarlet's mother would have known about his passing. And number 8, Scarlet finds her dead mom after Scarlet reassesses that maybe the woman who looked like her mom is not her ally. She continues to proceed forward and into completing her request. The DM later in the chat, for once, you all kind of did exactly what I hoped for and more. Ha ha ha. Oh, no, sorry. The DM says later in the chat, for once, you kind of did exactly what I hoped for and more.
So it sounds like everyone's having a good time, but that dickhead,
that person.
Yeah.
Then there's one last part of it. It's almost over. The DM's response made sense to me, and yeah, sometimes as a player you want to know what's behind a door, but seriously, back to the original point, am I the asshole for playing my character how I think she'd act in the given scenario, even though as the player I know there's fishy shit going on and it may be a trap? Also, is the other player out of line? Just a reminder, he is our pushy player.
Okay. First off, no,
that was winded.
I don't think that Scarlet is the asshole.
No.
2, that pushy player, good for you for noticing all those cues. That is a lot of things to pick up on. But you don't need to call someone oblivious just because they didn't pick up on it. 3rd, the overall character arc for that, going to see your parents, yeah, there's no one at the castle. You're a princess, you don't give a fuck who's there. This is your home. If no one's there to greet you, whatever. Your mom asked you to do some mundane shit. Princess to a queen, you're still the child. You're still asked to go do things.
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't think that Scarlet did anything wrong. I think she played her character the way it should have been done.
Yeah.
The other guy is a terrible person for the way he was messaging her, and then to message the whole chat, like, hey, this is all the
Discord
shit
chat with all the other players.
Yeah, like, yo, like, you don't need to do that. You can
literally just called her out in front of every single other player.
And I could say, like, Scarlett's character, for what it sounds like as the person, did pick up on all of those things. She even said that she did. Like, as a person, she was like, yeah, I noticed the red flags, but I did this, this, and this because of my character. Like, she didn't have to have somebody tell her the stuff that she was, everyone was, like, obviously aware of, that this was fishy and weird. Like, that was the point.
Yeah, and that's part of not metagaming. You're playing a character.
Yeah, and one thing I would like to point out, too, is that she mentioned in there that the only people in the castle were literally her character and Kyle's character. Saline or whatever. Yeah. And so like if Kyle was in there the whole time, he could have maybe pointed in game out these red flags to the princess and been like, hey, by the way, I've noticed like all this fishy stuff. Maybe we shouldn't do that. Or maybe, like she literally said that he was the only person there noticing, like as in character, going through all these red flags with her. He easily could have in-game fixed all of that.
Yeah,
if it was such a big deal. Like he could have been like as his character, he could have been like, hey, it's kind of weird that your mother told you to do all those things, right? Or hey, it's kind of weird that you just found that letter from your dad that says don't trust anyone. And
like, should we open this vault?
Also to note, he is the one that opened the vault that caused the problem.
Yeah.
True.
He's the one that opened that vault. And even the DM told them that in like after the session was over, he said that Kyle's character opening that specific vault is what caused the voice to echo and all that kind of stuff.
So it's his fault anyways.
So and it's literally his fault anyway.
And if we just metagamed our way through our whole campaign, then our characters currently in our campaign would be just fucking fine.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally.
Like, come on. I would not be in the situation that I'm in. None of us would be.
Yeah.
No. Also, it's a lot easier to. It sounds like primarily this was like her like scene, quote for quote. So like she was doing things, actively responding to what the DM was saying. So it's a lot harder to process a lot of this stuff in the moment when you're doing other things and trying to listen and act. As per the guy who gets to sit on the sidelines and all he has to worry about is listening and observing. It's a lot easier to pick up on little things if all you have to do is observe, while the other person is actually in the moment, trying to be in the moment while dealing with a kid in real life and acting out and playing out this scene. A little more difficult to make these smarter choices than the guy who got to sit there and just go, that's not what I would have done.
Like, right. Yeah, well, good for you. It's not you. So,
and again, like you said, she's having like a mental lapse.
I don't think either of them were assholes until he messaged her.
Yeah.
Well, no, yeah, that's
when like the assholeness started for sure, and it was definitely on his end.
Yeah, fuck you, Kyle.
Fuck you, Kyle.
Fuck you, Kyle.
What is your problem? Why isn't D&D fun for you? Like, do you do things just to stress yourself out?
Literally.
Yeah,
I'm assuming we all agree in the fact that Scarlett is not the asshole.
Yeah, Scarlett's playing D&D.
Scarlett's literally just out here playing D&D.
She's out here playing D&D.
As you could imagine, Reddit also decided that she was not the asshole.
Good.
Yeah.
Most of the comments are basically saying how, like, you, essentially what we're saying, like, you literally played your character as, like, honestly, more realistically than most people would have played their characters in that moment.
Yeah.
Like, and even I think I would have made the mistake of, like, not acting like my character in those kinds of situations.
Knowing
I would have easily accidentally metagamed through that shit.
Yeah.
But and I think she was actually playing it even better, not doing that.
And what a way for that Kyle guy to fucking steal her scene. Like, that was obviously a huge turning point in her character. Like, and to just take that and make it about yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
To turn it into instead of having this being a character arc, look how you were being stupid. Like, you should have done it this way. Like, that's stupid. Yeah. I think having a mental lapse and struggling mentally with everything, because her dad died. She just found out her mom's been dead for a while. On top of everything else, doesn't know who she can trust. Like, you're going to be a little discombobulated.
Her mom's decaying corpse is in that same room as her. Like,
literally.
Yeah.
And for him to also even say, like, oh, well, my character no longer even has, like, any motive to help you. You opened the vault?
And
bitch.
also, like, is that just gonna be a thing now? Like, bitch? Like,
Bitch.
he's just gonna not protect her character anymore?
Yeah.
Like, out of malice because she's being stupid? Like, get out of the campaign. I would kick him out of the campaign if I was the
Honestly.
DM.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
borderline.
no.
And from what it sounds like everyone had a good time. Like the DM, if anything, was extremely satisfied with the way it worked out. It seemed like it worked out exactly the way the DM wanted it to, which is kind of the whole fucking point of the DM. Like they create this story, they have to make things hard to catch like that on purpose to make so bad shit happens. Like that scenario was literally everyone doing their job.
Well, D&D is a collaborative story. So with this character arc, with what she chose and how she wanted to go about it, is her contribution to the story. So essentially, he is taking away her ability to affect the story by saying, you should have done it this way, heads up everybody, here's all the red flags, so just look out for that. That should have been an in-game character conversation of look what we found, this is what we observed, what do you guys think? Instead of metagaming and sending it onto the Discord, so all the players now have that information and they can metagame with that info.
But the thing is, though, is that all that information is like irrelevant to their campaign now. So he literally sent that afterwards just to make that to make her look stupid as a player.
Yeah.
Like so like all that information that he sent in wasn't even information that they could use the next session.
Like it doesn't help them.
He was just naming off all the red flags from their previous session. So all that shit he said literally didn't even matter. It was just to make that girl look like an idiot.
Well, and the thing is with the metagaming I was talking about is that this doppelganger queen is still out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh
so
yeah,
she's still out there. There's a whole plot now happening with people she can't trust. It was up to her if she wanted to reveal this information to the other players who were not there. And now they all know this information, and you don't know. This is Discord. This is a Discord table. So you don't know. I'm assuming these guys only know each other online. So you don't know who is going to metagame that info, ruin possible special moments for her character to be like, okay, guys, we need to have a talk. Let's find a tavern. They have a little scene where you're trying to be quiet. Who knows who could be observing? Who knows if she can even trust her own party mates? He took all that away because he wanted to show that she was being quote for quote ignorant or oblivious.
Yeah, he wanted to be the smartest man in the room and ruin the game.
Yeah,
and as the DM, I would
ability to tell a story.
Yeah, I would as the DM, I would have told everybody in that Discord that everything he sent in was not relevant information to the game, and that none of them could use it. He'd be like, you have to pretend you didn't see that message. You cannot use that information when we're playing. Like,
and that's the hard part about metagaming is like knowing additional stuff going into a game and not being able to use it. That's a conscious thing you have to constantly doing. Accidents do happen. So even if the DM did say like, "Hey, don't use," that knowledge is still there, which is unfair to those other players.
You have a bias now.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, I know this is an issue, so I'm gonna be constantly.
And it doesn't matter how hard you try to not metagame. You're bound to a little bit. Like that's just naturally what is gonna happen. Mm-hmm. So the less the other players know, the better. And calling all that shit out on their Discord chat was fucked up.
Well, and ignorance is bliss when it comes to D&D.
Honestly,
I've had extensive talks with Wyatt about this because I do know a lot of stuff in the Monster Manual. I know lore about D&D, but I have to constantly be checking to make sure like I'm not metagaming through story to make it so I can't. So when he makes little adjustments to lore or history of different things, I enjoy that because then I can't metagame, and that helps me not try and process what's going on because that's how my brain works as a player. Is I want to know what's going on in the story.
Exactly.
And those little tweaks helps my metagaming not happen because I don't actually know what happened in the lore, so I can't predict how the story is going to go.
Yeah, like if we run into a monster and I already know what it's weak against, I have to not go for that because that's just ruining the It's ruining the game. Like,
Or
you
find
know,
a reasonable way of how you found out that they know the weakness.
Exactly.
Right, when we fought the werewolf, Corwin had read books because he enjoyed horror. That's why I brought, like, does he know anything? And why it's like, all right, you have brief, you have a very small amount. You know, silver is an issue.
Right.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
But all the additional stuff, Corwin couldn't know about, which made sense because Corwin's not a hunter at all. Like,
Corwin wouldn't know everything about werewolves. It's
No.
Yeah.
yeah. So
You
that guy's a
read
fucking
mythology.
dick.
That's about it.
Yeah. Fuck Kyle.
Fuck
Yeah.
Kyle.
Fuck you,
Boo.
Kyle.
Fuck Kyle. Fuck you.